Niklsun here, and welcome back to part 2 of Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. This is a show where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we'll be going over all of the day's movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. A new trailer for the upcoming film Chappie has been released, and I gotta tell you, this trailer came across a lot different than I thought this movie would be. Originally, when the movie was described, it was going to be more of a comedy. It was going to be more of a lighthearted film, because it was essentially going to be about a robot coming to life, and about basically a child and their experiences in this world through a robot, and a robot first getting sentient ability. And so, you know, it seemed like it was going to be a nice departure for Neil Blomkamp, who had previously directed District 9, followed up with Elysium. And, you know, I was really excited that they got Hugh Jackman to sign on to play the villain in the movie. And, you know, everything just started to snowball from there, and it looked like it was going to be really cool. Then we got the first teaser trailer, and the first teaser trailer was really kind of, it wasn't as comedic. You know, it still showed the earnestness and the heart of the character and how he was, you know, first experiencing certain things. And Hugh Jackman's character really came across as almost like a game hunter or something of that sort. You know, just somebody who is, I'm against this because I'm against this. And it didn't really explain any of the motivations behind a lot of the characters. Well, this trailer has rectified that. This is a great trailer. I mean, your first experience to Hugh Jackman's character is the head of the security division that deals with these police robots, these sentient, or not fully sentient robots. These are, you know, think of it like RoboCop. What they were doing in the remake of RoboCop, they were creating drones. They were creating basically police officers that had a certain set of rules that they had to follow, and you were never putting a person in harm's way. And so in this trailer, they show even like police officers using these robots as cover as they're going in to, you know, attack certain places or investigate certain places. And Hugh Jackman's character really doesn't like the fact that they're not controlled by people, that they are controlled by their own artificial intelligence. And, you know, he says, we've got our own, and it looks like big ED 209 from RoboCop, but it's mind controlled. Like, he basically sits in this chair and he puts on this big helmet thing, and he's able to completely control it. But what happens, and we still don't know exactly how this happens. Maybe it's battle damage and the one guy finds it, or, you know, they show in the trailer that Dev Patel, the guy from Slumdog Millionaire, who's in this movie, he is a scientist working with the robots, and he is working to create the first, you know, robot that can feel, that can emote. And it looks as though it's a more serious version of Johnny Five from Short Circuit, which I know they've been trying to get a Short Circuit remake done for years. And Short Circuit is one of my favorite films. I love Johnny Number 5. I love it. Like, oh, it's such a good movie. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's pure 80s cheese and nostalgia, but oh my God, is it great. And, and you know, thinking back on Chappie and what it could do, originally speaking, you know, like I said, I thought it was a comedy. I thought it was going to be a big departure from it. Even though I really liked the trailer and I really liked what we were seeing in it, this does look like it's almost a remake of District 9. I mean, you have the character who is oppressed by the majority of people out there and has to kind of go on the run. And, you know, there's a lot of people hunting after him. And at the end of the film, he's going to have a big battle with a big giant mech suit type thing. Like, it just looks too similar to District 9 for me to really get behind Neil Blomkamp as a visionary director. He's got his own style, don't get me wrong, but if all these movies look the same, the storylines are very similar. I want to see him tackle something that he hasn't written. And I don't think he's everything that he's directed, he's written. I'd have to look into that a little bit more, but, you know, get a completely unique vision on something, get a completely different take on something, which I thought we were getting with this, but it looks like it's more in line with what we've already got. One of the biggest question marks for me in the trailer was Sigourney Weaver, because throughout the trailer, she's telling Hugh Jackman's character, you know, calm down, these things are good, they do good things, and then all of a sudden in the trailer, she goes, you know, like, a machine that can think for itself could be the end of humanity. You need to kill it. And it's like, whoa, okay, that came out of left field. Like, to me personally, again, it's out of context, but I didn't feel why she was going to be like that, why she started doing that. The other part that I'm concerned about with this movie are the characters. The two rappers from Die Antwoord. who they got. One's named Ninja, and the other one, I can't remember the other name. But he got them on there because he liked their work, and he just wanted to work with them. It didn't care if they had talent or not. And judging by the trailer, I haven't seen anything that really shows they have a lot of talent. And that also scares me because this movie is mostly supposed to revolve around them and Chappie learning from them. Because they kidnap him or something like that. Like, that's the general storyline. They have not conveyed that in the trailers at all. And so I'm really scared about that because that to me shows that maybe they're hiding them from the trailer because they know their sequences are not very good. The other part of the movie to me that needs a little bit of work is the CGI on the close-up shot of when that mech suit lands. Because wow, did that look like graphics from 1997. No texture whatsoever. I mean, they had all the machine parts, everything moved really well, but the texture look of it, it was terrible. I know that's me nitpicking, but still. They need to work on that. The movie doesn't come out till March, so they do have a little bit of time, but not that much. They're going to have to put in, like, the movie's going to have to be locked by the end of February. So they got like 4 weeks, 5 weeks tops to finish up these texture mappings. As long as they can do that, awesome. But with this trailer being released now, 2.5 months away from release, and that CGI still looks that rough. With the rest of the CGI looking so good, that to me is just a big question mark. Maybe that is the one shot that they are still working on. I don't know. I'm not involved in the property. But yeah, I love this trailer. I thought it really sold the film very well. It wasn't what I thought we were going to get, but I'm still on board for it. It looks a lot more action-packed than I thought we were going to get, which I always love a good action film. I think that they're, visually they're great, especially when you can come up with new, inventive action sequences. I think those could really work out well. But if you guys haven't checked out the trailer, there's a link in the description of this video below where you can check it out. And the movie's going to be opening up March 27th, 2015. If we do get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. Since its debut at Sundance 2014, almost an entire year ago, there's been a fair amount of buzz about the upcoming movie The Voices starring Ryan Reynolds. And for good damn reason. For those of you who haven't checked out the trailer for this movie, before I even continue talking, pause the video, click in the description of this video, and follow the link to the trailer for this movie and watch it. Oh man, does this movie look weird and kooky. Okay. So the basic premise of this movie is he is a very mentally disturbed individual who's supposed to be taking all this medication to cover up his psychotic breaks. But when he doesn't take his medication, his pets talk to him, and his dog and his cat. Reynolds provides the voices for the cat and the dog to hilarious effect. But they're very nefarious. They're very, for lack of a better word, evil. Especially the cat. Like, the cat basically says, he's like, hey, you have to kill her in order to see how powerful you've become. And, so he's convincing him to go and kill people while he's still kind of manic and still kooky and weird and just, and like that last line from the dog in the trailer, he sounds like a redneck. And he's like, hey, remember that invisible line I was telling you about right and wrong and how you said you crossed it, but I said no, you probably didn't. And even though you killed that person, you buried them, and I said you didn't. And he goes, yeah, what about it? And he goes, yeah, I was wrong about that. And from everything that I've heard, this trailer does not sell the movie as well as it should, because this movie has been raved about by everybody who saw it at Sundance 2014. It is going to be coming out the beginning of February on video on demand in select theaters as well. But oh man, I cannot wait for this movie. Ryan Reynolds is an actor who has not been given the right projects. He is, time and time again, he has always done a property that has, either it just failed, because of the script, like Green Lantern, or, just everything in the movie failed, like R.I.P.D. He hasn't been involved in the large-scale X-Men Origins Wolverine, Blade Trinity. He was great in Blade Trinity. He was the best part of X-Men Origins Wolverine at the very beginning, discounting his part at the end because he just kind of stood there and cocked his head a little bit. You look at Green Lantern. He was really good in Green Lantern. The script just sucked for that movie. And I keep going back to this movie because I saw it at TIFF. I actually got to see it with the writer of the film in attendance, and we actually got to do a Q&A afterwards, was Buried. And really going through with everything. And Ryan Reynolds was one of the reasons why that movie actually did get made. Because the writer, I remember him talking about it, and he goes, somebody asked, what was your motivation for writing a movie about this guy? And he's like, what was the cheapest movie that I could write? And it was all about a guy trapped in a box. But when Ryan Reynolds read the script, he was the one who championed that movie. He was the one, very much like he's doing with Deadpool. It took years to get done, but he got to a point where he really saw the dramatic tension in the movie. He saw the fact that this was a really well-written character. He was going to have to, the movie was going to rely on his performance. And all of those ingredients added up to a movie that he said, I want to do this. Hell over high water, we're going to get this movie made. And he worked tirelessly to get that movie done. And it's just incredible. And there's been a lot of other movies that he's done. He soars in the indie world. When he does independent films, he soars, like The Nines. I remember The Nines. For those of you who haven't seen The Nines, that was a great movie. It was really trippy about, multiple personalities and different dimensions and, all this kind of stuff. It was just really, really cool. Different time travel frame. And it was just a really crazy, convoluted, complicated movie, but just great performances by him and really cool idea for a film. So, I mean, The Voices always has sounded really cool to me. This is the basic premise of it. It's a genre-bending film which centers around Jerry, played by Reynolds, a lovable but disturbed factory worker who yearns for the attention of a woman in accounting, played by Gemma Arterton. When the relationship takes a sudden turn, we follow Jerry's perspective as his talking pets, a sinister cat, and benevolent dog lead him down a fantastical, murderous path. Just watch the trailer. This movie is going to be crazy. I cannot wait for this movie to come out. It's going to be coming out next month on video on demand and in select theaters, so definitely check it out when it does. I believe the exact date is February 6th. So if we do get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. But this movie sounds awesome. Definitely check it out when it comes out. I definitely recommend it. Now we're on to our user-submitted question segment. This user question today comes to us from Davin Orvin. And Davin writes, will Fox redo Dragon Ball Z since they're redoing Fantastic Four? Should they? And, Davin, I gotta tell you, that's a great question. Because looking at Dragon Ball Z and Fantastic Four, visually speaking, they are similar. They do offer very similar bombastic, sequences that could be utilized. People having extraordinary powers, living within a real world. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities that they could do. But here's the issue. When Dragon Ball Evolution failed at the box office, and Last Airbender failed at the box office, both commercially and critically, that kind of put a nail in the coffin for anime to live action adaptations. Ghost in the Shell, I think, is going to be a movie that may make or break it. Now, I know that Ghost in the Shell is very different from Dragon Ball, but it is still kind of from the same genre. The majority of people out there, the ones that are, that they're not on board with all the movie news, they don't, research, they don't look out for it. They'll just see an advertisement for a movie and think that it looks cool. Those are the types of people that the companies really need to sell to, which is one of the reasons why we're getting an abundant amount of superhero films, because they've seen that those work. They have a lot of really great ideas for it. So, and they have a lot of options to go with because it's proven, it's worked. But yet, if somebody goes and sees, or they see something like Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they also see something like, Captain America Winter Soldier, those are two very different movies, but they attack the same audience. And so people going to see anime, those are the people that are going to go see both Ghost in the Shell and Dragon Ball Z. And I really do think that if Ghost in the Shell is a smashing success, then if Fox is able, because Fox is now under a new regime. Remember, when Dragon Ball Evolution came out, they had Tom Rothman was the head of Fox. They now have a new regime there. They have new people who are overseeing these projects. That's why X-Men movies are now getting a hell of a lot better. That's why their properties are not looking as though they have too many cooks in the kitchen. That has now shifted over to Sony. But Fox really has a good grasp on their properties right now. So if they were to attempt a new Dragon Ball movie, I think they have the right team behind them to at least attempt to craft the right story and to get the right people behind it. Because that's the main thing. This is the type of movie that needs $100 to $150 million budget because of the amount of CGI that's going to be involved, the type of action sequences you're going to want in this movie, the audience you're going to be going after, because we're now at a point where you have to target a movie like this towards the teenage market, towards the young adult market. And I don't mean love stories. I don't mean anything like that. I mean, you have to aim for at least a PG-13 rating, because one of the reasons Dragon Ball Evolution failed so bad was because it catered to like 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds. They tried to put in too much goofy humor in the movie. They tried to make it way too colorful and way too fake. I mean, like that sequence with Goku, or the white kid they got playing Goku, which was a stupid decision. But him on that little tightrope thing, that was some of the most fake sequences I've ever seen in my life. Like it was horrible to watch. Like it was almost painful to watch, because you're like, somebody got paid a lot of money to not only write that, but other people were paid even more money to say, I like that, let's greenlight that. Then more people were paid more money to actually craft it. Then other people were made more money to do the CGI. More people were paid even more money to watch it once it was all completed and say, yes! Like, that to me is one of the most shocking things about movies like this, that it gets to release being this bad. And the company not saying, let's put another $10 million in this movie to try to make something amazing out of it. But yet, no, we didn't get that, which is really unfortunate, because I think Dragon Ball is the type of movie that you really could do a fairly unique take on it. It's all going to depend on if the audience wants it. On top of that, you need to put the right people behind the camera in order to make sure that it is crafting a proper story, a true to their franchise story, one that will work. Not like what they did with Airbender, not like what they did with Evolution. You got to start from scratch. You really have to adapt from the original anime comics, or the original anime series, sorry, and just really go from there. The problem that I see with this is Ghost in the Shell is not going to be coming. I don't think it's scheduled to come out until at least late 2016 or early 2017, which means I think the studio would have to wait until then for them to even say whether or not they want to go ahead with this, because they're not in the position right now to put any money into a project like this unless they see that they could make money from it. So if Ghost in the Shell comes out and is a smashing success, I think we might be able to see this movie within the next 5 years. But to me personally, I don't think that we are going to see it for at least 10. I think that the studios have too much on their plates. I think that you're going to start to see some oversaturation with all these high-profile films. And I think that by 2021, 2022, we may be at a situation where the general audience is now fatigued from seeing all of these big, high-concept movies. It could happen. And we may start to see a scale back. And Hollywood really start to scale back and go for something a little bit more subdued. And then once that tide rises, or once that tide subsides, then we'll see them try to revisit some of these older films or older stories that could, I think, really work. But to me, the make it or break it right now is Ghost in the Shell. If that movie is successful, then we might be able to see it. Because of them doing Fantastic Four, again, they are similar in visual styles, but outside of that, I don't see there being very much similarities. Although that being said, I'm not that well versed in the Dragon Ball Z lore. I obviously I watched Evolution because I liked the director that was on board. He was the guy who did the first Final Destination, and he also did the one. He was also a director and creative consultant on the X-Files. But it was just a stinking hot pile of mess. And it could be cool. I just don't see there being a very big audience for it right now. I mean, you got to look at who's watching the current cartoons and stuff like that. And if people are watching the cartoons and the cartoons are making a lot of money, then it makes sense for the studio to look at it. But if they're not making a lot of money, then that's why the studio hasn't done it yet. But Davin, if Fox was to go ahead and greenlight a Dragon Ball Z movie, I want to know what you would like for them to include in the story. I want to know what you think they should adapt. If they should adapt from a single storyline, if they should try to do what Airbender did, which was a failure, and try to compact the entire first season into one movie, which was a stupid decision. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your options are. Everybody out there, let me know what you guys think about the potential for a Dragon Ball Z movie, what you think it could work, if you think it might not work, who your ideal casting choices would be for some of the roles. I think that, there is possibility for it. I just don't see it in this current landscape of films that we're getting. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And if we do get more information about Dragon Ball Z or anything of that sort, then I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll about do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click the subscribe button there in the bottom corner. You can get updates whenever we post a new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And also give us a like on our Facebook page at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. If you guys ever have a topic, comment, or question you'd like to have talked about on this show, go ahead and put a comment in the comment section, or you can email us at movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com. And on every Friday episode, we'll try to get to as many as we can. But until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.